Here's me walking to my favorite place to have a cup of coffee in the morning. You may not realize it, but that's a little miracle. Here's another shot. I'm walking without any pain, and my hips are aligned. 7 months ago, that wasn't the case. I was in a lot of pain and had trouble even bending down to pick something up off the floor. I was diagnosed with something called lateral pelvic tilt. This video is about how I stumbled onto something that fixed it, and that I hope might work for you. Hi, and welcome to this channel, and let's talk about lateral pelvic tilt. If you clicked on this video, it's most likely because you're experiencing an episode of lateral pelvic tilt. I've experienced 2 episodes of lateral pelvic tilt. In this video, I want to share what happened to me and how I got it fixed with a set of easy stretching exercises that only took me 5 minutes a day. First, and this is important, I need to say that I'm not a medical professional. I'm just someone who's sharing their story of what worked for them. If you choose to try and do these exercises, do not do them without checking with your doctor first. Secondly, please know that when I was trying to find a solution for my lateral pelvic tilt, a lot of the things that worked for other people didn't work for me when I tried them. But hopefully you're one of the people for whom these exercises might work. The good news is, if your doctor approves you trying this, these exercises are very simple to do and only take 5 minutes for the complete set. I'll be showing you these exercises as I talk so you can see for yourself that they are very simple to do. I'll create a second video with just these exercises and without my voice talking over them, so if you want to do them, you'll be able to do them without hearing this chat over and over. Now, a tip. If you do try these exercises, get yourself a yoga mat that's high density and at least a ½ inch thick. That will increase your comfort while doing these stretches considerably. So, how did I stumble upon these exercises? First, let me tell you my lateral pelvic tilt story. I actually experienced 2 bouts of it, as I've said. The first time it happened was when I was out gardening in June. I woke up one morning horrified when I looked into a full-length mirror to find that one of my legs was now an inch shorter than the other, and my right hip was jutting to one side. If you've experienced this, you know how jarring something like that is. And you're probably like me, you probably didn't even know that there was something like lateral pelvic tilt. Of course, I made an appointment with a doctor at a local spine clinic, but she was so booked up that it would be 6 months before she could see me. That first episode lasted for 2 months, and then sort of spontaneously resolved itself, but it rattled me so much that I kept my appointment with the spine doctor when it came up in January. That was where I learned I was diagnosed with lateral pelvic tilt. The doctor recommended physical therapy to strengthen my core muscles to prevent that from happening again. I went through about a couple of months of physical therapy, and the exercises were great. If you've been in physical therapy, you'll recognize the classics. They included the bridge, the bird dog, something called charmingly the dead bug, and the clamshell. The exercises were great. They strengthened my abdominal and my lower back muscles, my core muscles, and I felt better and I looked better. But even though I did them religiously, they didn't prevent me from having a recurrence of the lateral pelvic tilt the following June. Again, after a bout of heavy gardening, I did another round of physical therapy, but it didn't fix the problem, and I was in a lot of pain. Bending down to pick something up from the floor hurt, and I had to be careful how I turned around in bed when I slept because that also could cause a flare-up of pain. I wondered if I had something structurally wrong with my hip. I went to see one of the top hip replacement surgeons in Michigan, and she told me I had nothing structurally wrong with my hip. At that point, I was actually disappointed to hear it because I was in so much pain at that time. I was more than willing to undergo surgery if it would fix it. It's distressing to look in the mirror and see your hips literally crooked. And there was the constant pain. I tried Motrin and Tylenol and things like that, and none of it really helped much. That second episode of lateral pelvic tilt lasted for 6 months. I was beginning to think it was permanent. Now, the hip replacement surgeon I saw did localize where my problem area was. She said it was probably deteriorated discs in my lower back. She didn't order any additional x-rays or tests because she said that surgery was a last resort, which you'd want to avoid, surgery on the spine. And knowing people who had back surgery that didn't work out very well, I agreed with that. As she said more tests wouldn't really affect the outcome of how my issue would be treated, I went along with not having more tests. Of course, I was looking up every possible thing I could about lateral pelvic tilt and how others had managed or fixed this issue non-surgically. There were a lot of YouTube videos I checked out, and I checked out a lot of Reddit posts. I tried a lot of the exercises recommended. Some people recommended special support belts. I even tried those out, but they didn't work for me. Nothing seemed to work. In the meantime, because of the physical therapy, I'd also gotten interested in improving my overall fitness. So I was keeping up with the physical therapy exercises as best I could. But there was a new thing that came to my attention at that time, and that was an app called Bend. Now, I am not affiliated with Bend. I'm not sponsored by them, but I've got to say that when I tried one of their sets of exercises, that was when my lateral pelvic tilt resolved itself, and I'd say that was within 2 weeks. The set of exercises that I did was the one they call a wake up. It's the first set of exercises that's listed in my app, and it lasts 5 minutes. It's the ones you've been seeing me do in this video. Okay, so when I started doing the wake up exercises, I could not do most of them completely, but what I did was I did them as best I could. For example, the first one, reaching for the skies, that one was okay. But when I tried to touch my toes, which was the second exercise, I couldn't do it fully. But I went down as far as I could without hurting myself too badly. When it called for me to do a lunge, I did the closest I could do to a lunge, and it was pretty pathetic. But I went through the motions, and that was just true for all the exercises. I just did them as best as I could. It was painful because at that point in time, it was even hard for me to reach down to the floor when something had fallen and I'd try to pick it up. If I moved the wrong way in bed when I was sleeping, it was painful. Something was misaligned and some pressure was being placed on the nerves in some way. But when I started doing the bend exercises, an interesting thing happened. Every day I could do them a little better, and by the end of 1.5 or 2 weeks, I was doing them pretty well. And what's even better is my lateral pelvic tilt had gone away. This to me was a little miracle. Now, was it the bend exercises alone? Was it the bend exercises after having done all the physical therapy and strengthening my core? I don't know. All I know is that once I started doing this set of exercises, my problem was fixed. Remembering how I looked high and low for answers when I had lateral pelvic tilt, I want to post this video so that maybe for some people this simple fix might work. Again, check with your doctor, see if this is okay for you to do, but this is something that if you're okay by your medical professional, you might want to give a try. Each of us is unique, and I do know from consultation with my doctor that my problem was probably due to something amiss in my lower back. But I also learned from my physical therapist that bones do what muscles tell them to do. So that does also speak to the fact that when you stretch the muscles, as I was doing with these exercises, it may give those muscles the boost they need to realign themselves properly. Well, that's my lateral pelvic tilt story, and I hope that it's helpful to some people. The rest of the video, I will just let myself go through the rest of the exercises from this angle in case it's helpful for anyone. I'm also going to post a video called the stretches that fixed my lateral pelvic tilt, and that'll be coming out next week, so look for that one. It won't have a voiceover, and that might be more helpful for people that want to repeat these exercises. And it will also have an audio marker so that if you can't watch the screen while you're bending down to touch your toes, you'll know that it's time to change to the next position. That also might be helpful. If you liked this video and found it helpful, please remember to give it a thumbs up and to subscribe to my channel. Also, I'd love to hear your comments and your story and experience with lateral pelvic tilt. If there was something that you found useful, please share it below. Thank you.